Hey, this is the hostel of the cherry blossoms. Long, long ago, or maybe not, there lived in the islands of the Atlantic Ocean off the coast
Mute everybody.
of Europe, a fair-haired man who became a powerful leader of a band of warriors who were very loyal to their king, but not necessarily to the laws of the kingdom. They had amongst them ghost or godlike elements who could magically heal wounds and divisions, and especially reunite the clan when the warriors suffered defeat in battle or lost the run of themselves with greed or ambition. These were the shady Tuatha De Lia, known only to the warriors by the grey garments they wore. Fionn had great ambitions to lead the clan, which some called the Fianna. Fionn absorbed great knowledge and tactical skills, growing up beside a mighty river, once known as Isis, where the sons of noblemen were sent to learn how to fight and lead, close by the royal castle on a hill. He went on to hone those skills further up the river at the ford of the Oxen, where only a select few were admitted to the special feasts, wherein they drank copiously, dined of the sacred bull, and perfected their superiority over all other beings, animate, inanimate, and even spiritual. At those feasts, Fionn, the fair-haired one, found that, like the Egyptian Isis, he became powerful in the ways of magic, and like her, learned how to create and destroy life with mere words. He had her weaknesses too, in wanting to win and maintain his power at any cost. The Fianna's base was further down the river in a large monastery on the western side of a great city. Fionn had outshone his comrades at the ford of the Oxen in every aspect of leadership and learning, and was made chieftain of the clan by acclamation soon after he returned home. On the eastern side of the city, closer to the sea and ships, lived the tribes of Alf and Garnet. These were the threshold guardians whose only function in life was to keep the unworthy from entering the kingdom. In between lay the richest gold mine the world has ever seen, which never produced a single ounce of gold, but prospered from merchant ships and warships sent down the river to every corner of the earth, from where they brought back trade and wealth beyond imagination. Across the river in the Green Harbour, the wise and learned men of the great city even set about governing time itself in support of their far-flung trade and enterprise. They succeeded in charting and defining celestial and terrestrial time and space. They even drew a line through their fortress, dividing the earth into what we now call East and West. Their temporal concepts and design have become known today as universal time. In spite of its great success, the city often witnessed pestilence and famine, but that never stopped Fionn and his comrades from feasting, drinking, and carousing in the corridors and cloisters of their West Monastery. They, of course, had the Alfs and the Garnets on ferocious and constant alert to keep the invaders from the East, real or imagined, pinned back outside the gates, should they dare to venture across the sea from their Western Oriental territory, which those gullible foot soldiers firmly believe begins not far away at a place called Hold on a second. Stall the digger. I got my islands mixed up. Or did I? I am talking about events in the other island. And of course, the River Isis was the original name of the River Thames, or Thamesis. It is very easy for us in Ireland or elsewhere to mock and ridicule what we consider to be the economic folly of our own neighbours to the east, especially now that we have the protection of some bigger kids on the block. It's that acidic concoction of amusement, joy, satisfaction, and perhaps disgust that the Germans call Schadenfreude. Whatever it's called, it certainly has a power to unite. Let me take you a little further down that great river to its sea reaches near Gravesend, a little over 100 years ago. There, the author Joseph Conrad, a former seafarer himself, in his novel Heart of Darkness, conducts a brilliant analysis and exposition of that primal fear, loathing, and hubris, which unites us all in the so-called West. It is a calm evening, and the progress of 4 men on a sailing yacht downriver towards the east is arrested by the flood of the incoming tide, and they go to anchor. As the light fades, one of the 4, Marlowe, who is an experienced sea captain, begins his tale. He talks about the time he was young, unemployed, and looking for a ship. He traveled to Belgium to meet the owner of a small trading company and was engaged to go out to the Belgian Congo and take command of a little rust bucket steamer traveling deep into the African jungle to a trading post owned by his employer. It was a difficult, dangerous, and dark passage. The book thoroughly examines one definite source of fear, which is the ability of the untamed jungle and its alien natives to unsettle Western civilization's sense of itself as at the apex of human development. For Marlowe, it is not only the atavistic Congo, but also the conquering civilization that has a heart of darkness. We, everywhere in what we think of as the West, have always had that fear of the threat from the East, whether real, imagined, or manufactured. Does that fear bind us together, or is it the manipulation of that fear by leaders in society that creates the bond? In Ireland, we experienced the reality of invasion nearly 1,000 years ago. Did the fear, anger, and pain of that experience unite us as a culture? Or do we simply define ourselves in opposition to it? Not quite. We were and are more than happy to profit from the conquering European heart of darkness, which rained not just terror and exploitation, but loathing and disgust on the native peoples of the Americas. That same cloud of darkness coagulated over the course of a few centuries and rolled on across the Pacific Ocean during living memory to the land of the rising sun. We flew down out of that morning sun, coming from the Marianas in our long-range Boeing bomber, emblazoned with the name of our mother, painted righteously and obscenely upon our fuselage. We came in like the marauding Colgan, king of Lachlan, to wage what we called war on the local defenseless inhabitants. We even left them with our own little boy, only this time he wasn't called Miaduck, but a 15-kiloton atomic bomb. We put them under a spell, all right. We didn't just stick them to the ground. We vaporized them so efficiently that only their shadows remained fixed eternally on that now toxic soil beneath the cherry blossoms. No need for Miaduck to weave a magic spell over those remaining alive in the hostel, because we hit them with Fat Man, a much bigger nuke, a few days later in Nagasaki. But the human race, or maybe just the dark march of Western civilization, including the surviving Japanese, is nothing if not resilient. As we square up for the next round to be fought over another Miaduck in the China Sea, only this time his name is Taiwan. Win this one, and we'll soon be coming up our own assholes. Or to put it more politely, what goes around comes around. Trying to make sense and salvation out of all of this division and annihilation driven by so many different emotions can be difficult. Where is the tabula in naufragio, the plank in the shipwreck that humankind can cling to? Maybe a cocktail of the right emotions can fuel the necessary hope, not to overcome, but simply to survive. After all, The course of human existence is only a flicker in time. The constants that have witnessed the entirety of that existence and will see us all out are the great life-giving rivers that flow through our continents. They rise in the hills and mountains as enchanted springs from Mother Earth, bubble, happily growing and bubbling bountifully on down to the seas. On the way, they bring and sustain life and industry. We gather beside them. John and I had the great good fortune and privilege to voyage down the beautiful River Barrow in our little boat this summer. We sailed serenely south in solitude through the fertile farmlands and forests in the heart of Ireland, with only the abundant wildlife to keep us company. Incredibly, many of those landscapes remain exactly as they were 1,000 years ago. It is anything but the heart of darkness, even though it once was for the invaders many centuries ago, when our fellow bard from Stratford had Richard II declare, "Now for our Irish wars, we must supplant those rough, rug-headed kerns, which live like venom where no venom else, but only they have privilege to live." As we sailed along that gentle river, we saw the remnants of great fortifications built by the invader still standing, but no longer necessary to guard the Pale, because those invaders had long ago become more Irish than the Irish themselves. But what is a mere 1,000 years in the life of a river? On that goodly Barrow, we discovered for ourselves, as have many others, that the river, he flows outside of time. What does he care if the world's got troubles? What does he care if the land ain't free? Old Man River, that old man river, he must know something, but don't say nothing. He just keeps rolling. He keeps on rolling along.